So the at this stage, the antron almost circulate in the entire primary oocyte, leaving this portion. This is called the leaving some of these granulosa cells surrounding the primary oocyte. This is called the corona radiata, and a small portion connecting with the follicular wall. That portion is called the cumula ovorus. So we can look into this figure and get an idea about this region. This is the uh, this portion is called the corona radiata, and this portion is called the uh, cumulus ovorus. You need to know that all these are cells. All these are cells. These cells are the granulosa cells. So that's that. And inside of it is the oocytes. So just very quickly go through these folliculation process. First, we have the primordial follicle, and the granulosa cells will grow, and it will start to recruit the theca cells. Theca cell will come to form the theca cell. When we have that, we also start to form this antrum, and this is these folliculars, these granulosa cells working with the theca cell start to secrete the sex hormone, the estradiol. And this is called the secondary. This is the primary. Secondary is the one with the theca cells. Now the tertiary is the one that the entrant almost cover, but not entirely, leaving some uh, granulosa cells circulating the primary oocyte. This is called the corona radiata, and this portion, connecting portion, is called the cumulus ovorus. And in addition to that, these follicles getting larger and bigger. There will be some vascularization enter into the theca cell layers and be neutralized, giving some more nutrients into the follicle. Follicle is getting the biggest, and then ovulation. So that's that. All right. And after the ovulation is the corpus luteum, and uh, and uh, these entire phases will move from the follicular phases into the luteal phases. So that's that. All right, so let's look into all the important cells in these phases. One is the granulosa cells. These granulosa cells are also called the follicular cells. In this stage, we typically call it the granulosa cells, kind of to distinguish them from the follicular cells that surrounding the primordial cells throughout the almost over a decade of the time within the ovary. And by the age of puberty, the follicle stimulating hormone stimulate the granulosa cells to grow, and it will also stimulate the granulosa cell to work with the theca cells to produce the sex hormone, female sex hormone, the estradiol. So this is estradiol has estrogen has several types, E1, E2, E3, E4. And among all these, the estradiol E2 is the most abundant, most prevalent, and the most potent one. And so there are many things that female, the sexual characteristic can be triggered by the sex hormone. And so that is an important endocrine organ from the ovary and basically from these follicles. After the ovulation, these granulosa cells will differentiate to form the luteus, corpus luteum, and by then these cells will start to secrete another very important female hormone, which is the progesterone. Progesterone is very important to maintain the uterus for during the entire pregnancy. So that's the granulosa. Another cell is the theca cell. One thing about the theca cell is that they are recruited. They are not originated from these uh, mm, uh, follicular cells. They are recruited. So the follicular cells will become the granulosa cells, and then they will recruit the stroma cells from the ovaries to form the theca cell. To form the theca cell. Now, these theca cells will work with the granulosa cells to produce the sex hormone, the estradiol. Now, these theca cells function like the its function as that it will get stimulated by another gonadotropin released from the anterior pituitary gland, which is the luteinizing hormone. Luteinizing hormone acts on the theca cells, then it will produce the androgen. This type of androgen is called the androstenedione. Then this androstenedione will move down to the neighboring granulosa cells. Then granulosa cells will use it to produce the estradiol. So that's that. When you see the circulating layer of these theca cells, this basically is the time that is moving from the primary to the secondary and moving toward the tertiary. So that is a sign of the secondary follicle. And the difference between the secondary and the tertiary is the formation. So this one is already the tertiary, or called the Graafian follicle, that you see this antrum almost circulating the oocyte, leaving the corona radiata and what, and this one here, and the cumula ovaris. So that is that. With the theca cell, the sign of that's a signature for the secondary. With the antrum becomes so big, it's called the tertiary, or called the Graafian follicle. And the function of theca cell is to produce the androgen, which diffuse across to the neighboring granulosa cells to produce the estradiol and estrogen. So that's that. So from here on, the female has the endocrine organ, these gonads. As we earlier last time we talked about these gonads, the major function of these gonads is to do two things. One is to form the gametes. In male, that's sperm. In female, that's the oocyte. And the other function of the gonads is to produce the sex hormone. In male is testosterone from the Leydig cells, and in the female is the collaboration of the theca cell and the granulosa cells to produce this sex hormone, testosterone versus, or the estradiol, the earlier hormone, the precursor hormone. The one to stimulate them is the luteinizing hormone. So that's the same for male and the female. Luteinizing hormone acts on the Leydig cells to cause it to produce the testosterone. In the female, luteinizing hormone acts on the theca cells, and the theca cells produce the precursor of this female sex hormone, the androgen. Then androgen will diffuse to the granulosa cells to produce the estrogen. So here, just give you a little bit background about all these different steroid hormone. Just showing you that the estradiol is a type of the estrogen, and this androgen, this is the androgen, and yeah, so that just give you an idea that different uh, category of these different sex hormone or hormones. This one showing you that the thicker cells are recruited from the stroma cells in the uterus and to wrap around these follicles. This is important. This basically is turning from a stroma cell to become an endocrine cells. All right, so this one just showing you that all these are controlled in the center of the brain. This is the pituitary gland. And now we know this, having this in mind, we can do a quick comparison, quick reminder on what's in the male and what's in the female. So this is the female that we just talked about. Hypothalamus stimulates the gonadotropin releasing hormone, GnRH, acts on the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland has anterior pituitary and the posterior pituitary. The anterior release the luteinizing hormone and the follicular stimulating hormone. These luteinizing acts on the theca. Theca release the androgen. The type they release is the androstenedione. This one will diffuse into the granulosa cells. Folliculating stimulating hormone acts on the granulosa cells to make this one grow. So this follicular stimulating hormone is for the follicle. Then it will not just making it grow, it will also use it once we have the thicker cells surrounding around in the neighbor, then it will convert this androgen to the estradiol. Then this estradiol will circulating in the body, promoting the development of the female development, and then this will also provide a negative feedback into the hypothalamus and the pituitary. We will also talk about this positive. This positive is rare, but we will talk about that. The most of time in the most condition is the negative feedback. All right, so that's that. Similarly, so this one is the same figure that we showed earlier in our earlier lecture, in the development of the spermatogenesis, and so the LH, FSH, LH acts on the Leydig cells. Leydig cell stimulates the Leydig cell to produce the testosterone, the male sex hormone. This was circulating around. Now we also have Sertoli. Sertoli is very much like the follicular cells. Sertoli is the one that surrounding the sperms, and just very much like the follicular cells who circulating the oocytes. This one though, Sertoli doesn't produce the sex hormone. Their major function is to facilitate the development of the sperm cells. The granulosa cells circulating the oocytes, their function, of course, including the oocyte development, but they also convert the androstenedione to produce the estradiol. So that's and this one testosterone, just like the estradiol, will provide a negative feedback to hypothalamus and the pituitary glands. So that's that. So that's a comparison of these two. While these follicular stimulating hormones stimulate the growing of these follicles, it's not just one follicle, right? So the hormone is not like acts on one, and we don't know which one, but it acts on a group. A group will get activated, will start to grow. This group is a huge group. It's about over 1,000 follicle start to develop. However, by the end of these 28 days or even 2 months of this growing, only one continue to grow toward the end. So this is called the dominant follicle. So let's see here. So here is the folliculogenesis that each time we have a group of the follicles receive, get stimulated by, and they by the follicular stimulating hormone, and they grow, they all grow, and but only one. So the other will degenerate it, but only one. This is one. Uh, win over the others. When they die, when they degenerated, it's called the atresia. Atresia, then it degenerated. But the only one, every 28 days, only one win over, and they continue to grow into the tertiary or the Graafian follicle, large enough to take all the nutrients. And so because this one is just way too big and the other don't have the nutrients, all the nutrient, all the resources are taken by this one. So every month we have one single winning oocyte and thousands of dying oocyte. So that's the dominant follicle. The dominant follicle, we have two ovaries in each female. So the ovaries host this dominant follicle is called the dominant ovary. So thousands of follicle conduct follicogenesis. They grow, but only one uh, growing bigger than the other, and that is getting, because it's bigger, they take even more energy, taking even more resources. So can forget all the capability to acquire all the resources. So only the biggest one will continue growing, and because they just growing even bigger, they will uh, affect the others, and so the other, cannot continue growing. So that's that. These dominant, how do they do that? So these dominant follicles, they have more granulosa cells. They have more thicker cells. They produce even more estrogen. That estrogen will provide a negative feedback into the pituitary and hypothalamus, and that will make the follicular stimulating hormone become less and less. The more it grows, the FSH is lower. So while it's growing, we have even less supply to it. And so that causes the other weaker one cannot survive with a limited amount of the FSH. And so the other will die. So that's that. And the dying, those thousands could not make, meet the end, are degenerated. And that is called the atresia. So the largest one will grow to a point that uh, the they will deliver this oocytes into the uterus, and they will drop it at the fallopian tube, and that's a process called the ovulation. So that's that. So when they drop these corona radiata, this is a group of the uh, granulosa cells will go with it, falling into the fallopian tube, and the remaining part, this part stay in the ovary. This will develop into the a corpus luteum. And that lead to the second phase right here, second phase. This is follicular phase, this is luteal phase. So this corpus luteum will be stay in the ovary, and their function is to secrete not just the estrogen but also progesterone, and that is important to stimulate the uterus to build its environment and to maintain the pregnancy. However, if there is no fertilization, then this uh, corpus luteum will degenerate to form the scar tissue called the corpus albicans. Um, if and by doing so, they will reduce the production of the estrogen and the progesterone. When they reduce that, when they reduce that, when they reduce the estrogen and the progesterone, then there will be less negative feedback. These hypothalamus and the pituitary will be free to release ESO, LH, and FSH. So they can increase again, and that will stimulate another batch of the follicles to develop. However, if there's pregnancy, then these corpus luteum remain alive for another 2 months. And the way they can remain alive is that while there is fertilized implant of this zygote, this implant will start to trigger the uterus to develop the placenta. And this placenta will secrete a hormone called the human chorionic gonadotropin, HCG. This gonadotropin is like another LH, FSH. This is gonadotropin. They will stimulate the corpus luteum to remain alive. So that is, and that while they remain alive, they will continue to secrete estrogen and the progesterone. So let's look at this figure. So this is one showing you that if it's implanted, if there is pregnancy, so we can see that progesterone, estrogen continue to increase, and the early portion is to thank to the corpus luteum. Later is the uterus itself. All right, so that's that. So that's the luteal phase. So this one summarize all these two phases. Follicular phase is development of the follicle. Luteal phase is the major player is the corpus luteum. So that's that. And of course, this one will actually work along with the change of this hormone. So let's look at this change of hormone. There are 4 major hormones that we need to concern. One is the FSH, the other is LH. And in addition to that, these two are secreted from where? Anterior pituitary glands. All right. And then we have what? The estrogen and the progesterone. Where do we see them? Where are they released from? These two are released from the follicles, from the ovaries. So we have 2 major organ to secrete this hormone. One is from the pituitary glands, the other is the gonads. So in the beginning, we have the LH, FSH basically increasing. The FSH will stimulate the follicle develop, LH might not change that much, but LH is there to stimulate the theca cells. Theca cells will produce the estrogen to the granulosa cells to produce the estro estrogen. So estrogen gradually increase because of what? Because of the follicle development. The larger follicle it is, the more granulosa, the more theca cells, the more release of this estrogen. So estrogen increase along with granulosa cell, sorry, along with this follicular development. While it's increased, they will provide a negative feedback to the pituitary gland. So the FSH will be inhibited, will be suppressed, will decrease. So this increase will cause the FSH decrease. And at the point that this decrease will make only the major one survive, but this decrease will make the other follicles, thousands other follicles become degenerated. And this estrogen will be mainly delivered from the dominant follicle. And at about the largest, when this follicle develop to the largest, they are also reach their releasing of the estrogen will also reach to the maximum. And by then, this amount in the blood is basically way too high. So their influence to the pituitary gland will change the environment, the condition, how these pituitary respond to the estrogen will flip. So in the beginning, they get suppressed by the estradiol, estrogen. However, if this estradiol is just way too high, their response to it will flip. They will flip it into the positive feedback. They will be stimulated. They kind of get suppressed for a long time, and a point that they just want to revenge. They just want to fight back. So they will search. They will secret more LH and FSH. So that's what happens with this one here. So when it's way too high, when this estrogen is way too high, it will stimulate the anterior pituitary to, you got the suppression for so long. One day, you will expect some kind of revenge, right? So the anterior pituitary gland will revenge and secrete this, increase this huge amount, very large amount of the LH and the FSH. We call this an LH, luteinizing hormone surge. This one happens to be the time that we have this ovulation. That surge will have some physiological function. It will stimulate the continuous of the primary oocytes meiosis. Remember that these primary oocytes stay arrested at the prophase after birth. So they need to continue, right? It's the prophase, they will need to become the, metaphase, anaphase to at least complete the first stage of this meiosis. And so that triggers that. So the first stage of the meiosis will continue. They will produce two daughter cells at this point, right a day before the ovulation. One is the primary oocytes, and we have the secondary oocyte, and also the first polar body. It will all stay inside of this follicle. So that's that. All right. And once it's released, this portion will turn to the corpus luteum. once they turn into the corpus luteum, their production of the estrogen and their production of estrogen will drop. And so when they drop, this revenge will very quickly return back to the lower level. So that is like the revenge, and then estrogen drop, then this revenge, it's a revenge. It's not like continuous fight. So that finished. Now after that is the the game the show of the corpus luteum, and the corpus luteum take it over. The function of the corpus luteum will start to secrete two type of the hormone. One is the estrogen, but not just that, it also secrete the progesterone. So we don't see the progesterone during the follicular phase, but we start to see it during the luteal phase. So the progesterone increase, estrogen increase, and this one is also very important to. These two are important to facilitate to build the uterus environment for ready for the fertilization and the implantation. If this corpus luteum, if there's no implementation, then the corpus luteum will degenerate it. And when they degenerate it, the amount of test estrogen and the progesterone will decrease. Once it's increased at this level, they suppress the FSH and LH. And because these two are suppressed, the other follicles remain not developed only until this corpus luteum degenerated. Then there is no suppression from these two. The pituitary gland finally get free up, and then they will be able to release its LH and FSH again. And that will begin another journey of the follicular genesis. So that's the hormone. So these are summarized of what we just mentioned in Texas. So I show you a picture, tell you a story, and this is the text. So if you like to listen to it, you can see the picture, you can go with this one. But here is some text. So the earlier we have the early follicular phase, we have the increase of the FSH and LH. FSH acts on the granulosa cells here, and to make this one proliferated, and the LH acts on the theca cells to produce the androgen, androstenedione. This will diffuse into the granulosa cells. Then granulosa cells, this FSH will stimulate the granulosa cells to activate an enzyme called the aromatase. Right here, aromatase. Aromatase is important enzyme to convert the uh, androstenedione to form the estradiol. And then we have this female sex hormone, the estrogen. So that's that, and everybody growing, and to the point that they will have the uh, suppress all this. So at the point that the FSH, so at the point that the granulosa cells secrete this estrogen is just too high, they suppress the FSH and SH. Estrogen increase, suppress LH, FSH, and the reduced FSH will make these the resources become limited. Only the dominant follicle survive. The other will degenerate it, trigger the atresia of non-dominant follicles. Then this increased amount of the estrogen will trigger a positive feedback to the pituitary gland to cause the increase of the LH and FSH. We call this condition an LH surge. And this surge go with the ovulation, and this surge plays an important role. The effect is to trigger the continuous of primary oocyte meiosis. So the primary oocyte was arrested at the prophase 1 stage. And now it will complete that meiosis first stage. It will generate two daughter cells. One is the secondary oocyte, the other one is the first polar body. And then after the ovulation, the estrogen will decrease. Then the show is from the follicular cells to the corpus luteum. The corpus luteum will then produce the estrogen and progesterone. And this is important to, here is a list of the progesterone action to promote the secretion phases of the uterus. So this is basically to prepare the uterus for the implantation, and to suppress the uterus contractile activity. So once we have the implant, we need to prevent this uterus to contract. So it's not to deliver the baby yet. The baby is not there yet. So to suppress the muscle contraction, so maintain a more like safe, stable environment for these zygotes, to divide, to grow into the baby. It will also promote the granular tissue in the breast. So the mammary gland in the breast will become bigger, become larger, become more, and to produce the milk ready for the coming baby, and suppress the milk production. So it's growing the granule, but suppress. It's not milk yet until the delivery of baby. Then the milk will be produced and delivered. So that's that. However, if there's no implantation, then the corpus luteum will degenerate it. The way that it remain alive during the pregnancy is because of the implantation, and the more specific is because of the placenta. Only when there's placenta will release human chorionic gonadotropin (HCG), which will stimulate which will maintain the survival, the maintenance, maintain the sustain the corpus luteum. So that's that. So that's when after its implantation, then the placenta secretes the HCG. It will keep the corpus luteum function not for forever, but for 2 months. And after 2 months, the placenta is big enough, itself will start to secrete its own estrogen and progesterone. And by then, they will not produce the human CG, chorionic gonadotropin. And so the corpus luteum would degenerate it, while our body still have continuous increase of the estrogen and the progesterone coming from the placenta. So this one showing you that this is the hormone after the pregnancy, after the implantation. So HCG increased by the placenta. The red one is the placenta, increase from the placenta in the first trimester, in the first 2 months. And then that will sustain the survival of the corpus luteum to produce the progesterone and the estrogen. After 2 months, the placenta is big enough to produce its own progesterone, and estrogen, while they will reduce its HCG. Lower HCG, these corpus luteum cannot sustain. They will die. And then these placenta take it over to produce continuously because this is way bigger than the corpus luteum. And so we need more and more progesterone. And so only this placenta is big enough to have all these cells to secrete this progesterone and estrogen throughout the entire pregnancy. So that's that. So this could be the quiz question, right? Like, is progesterone gradually increase, decrease during the pregnancy? Answer is increase. Where are they secreted from? In the first 2 months, these progesterone are secreted from the corpus luteum, and in the second and third trimester, this progesterone is secreted from the placenta. So that's that. So progesterone is unique because unless there is pregnancy, we only see this progesterone. Here is a progesterone. Estrogen. Estrogen is a typical female sex hormone. So it's high during the follicular phases as well as the luteal phase. But the progesterone only increase after the ovulation. And the progesterone is important to conduct, to increase the granule tissue in the breast, to suppress the contractile activity in the uterine. So it will sustain the baby development. It will suppress the hypothalamus and the anterior pituitary gland to reduce the amount of the LH and the FSH. And that will prevent another follicular genesis, right? And so during the pregnancy, there will be no new follicles developed and no LH surge, no ovulation. And so we basically prevent during this whole 9 months, they are not going to have another menstruation, which would be terrible if it happens, right? Because we have baby there. So that's that. And so this is the place we are going to have the implantation. We are going to have the baby. That is in the uterus. So uterus basically include two layers. One is called the myometrium. This region contains a lot of the smooth muscle to cause the muscles, basically to cause the muscle contraction. And we also have the inner layer. This inner layer, uh, uh, basically, it was just single layer of the epithelium cells. So we can see, maybe we have picture. No, all right. Okay, so it was single layer of the epithelium cells, and underneath that we have the stroma. So before the menstruation, basically it's kind of thin. It's nothing happening here. No blood, no, a little bit granule, but not much of the vascularization here. However, they will grow when the estrogen is and the progesterone is delivered. So So with the female sex hormone, the estrogen as well as the progesterone, these endometrium will grow into a large tissue, a thick tissue. This tissue include two regions, including the functional layer and the basal layer. This functional layer is also called the functional list. The basal layer is also called the basal list. And the basal layer is not, it will remain. This is the basic one. So when there is the bleeding, the menstruation, the functional layer will be degenerated, will get removed, but it will regenerate. So this is the region come and go, come and go, but the basal layer remain unchanged. So the functional layer contains blood vessel and granule, and their development is triggered by these two. Uh, Estrogen during the follicular phase, progesterone during the luteal phase. Estrogen produced by the granulosa cells, and in the later stage is the granulosa from the dominant follicle. During the luteal phase, after the ovulation, these corpus luteum take the place to secrete the progesterone, which will continually support the proliferation. Will turn this proliferation into the secretion, but will support the thickness, the viability of this layer. So this uterus will also change throughout the entire menstrual cycle. So this is the uterus. So that's basically go back to the very first picture that we showed earlier. That is the uh, endometrium thickness change. So this change includes three phases. One is the menstrual phase or menstruation. And here we have the collapse of this functional layer of the endometrium. The basal layer remain the same, remain unchanged. Then after that, we will have the follicular development. This follicular development will release the hormone, estrogen, to stimulate its regrowing. And this regrowing will go through two phases. One is the proliferation. This is supported by the estrogen. So you can put the term here, estrogen. I can do it for you. So during this proliferation phase, the follicle release estrogen to stimulate its growing. And then after ovulation, it continues to grow, but move on to another phase called the secretory phase. Now, the difference between the proliferative phase and the secretory phase is that the main difference is that they are stimulated from different hormone. In addition to the estrogen, there also another hormone that is the progesterone secreted from the corpus luteum. and this progesterone continuously facilitates. There are more changes here. This is provide a better environment for the implantation. So that's that. So we call this the uterine cycle, including the menstrual phase or menstruation, and found that this proliferation uh, that is the stimulated by the follicle, and go along with this later the second the continuous of these follicular phases occur in the ovary, and then going into the secretory phase supported by the corpus luteum, and they will remain the secretory phase if the corpus luteum remain function uh, by the which is needed, which the function of the corpus luteum um, can be sustained by the hormone, by the human chorionic gonadotropin, which require the implantation and the development of the placenta. So that's that. So the first phase is the menstrual phase. This is menstruation uh, that that is that when there is no implementation, the corpus luteum degenerated, and there will be no estrogen, progesterone, and without those, they cannot sustain this layer. They will be collapsed, and the functional layer will is shedded, and the basal layer remain intact. Proliferation is proliferative phases is triggered by is induced by the estrogen produced from the follicles, causing the endometrium growth, including the vascularization, the glands in this region. This is the gland, the simple tubular gland, uh, secretes fluid, and to provide the environment for the implantation. In addition to that, the cervical canal also secretes the mucus, which will facilitate the sperm migration into the uterus. So that is uterus. So sperm need to migrate into the uterus. And then we will move on to the next one. It's called the secretory phase. The difference between proliferative phase and the secretory phase is that in the secret phase, another hormone coming in to support the development of the endometrium layer. That is the progesterone. So progesterone released from the corpus luteum uh, to support the uterus endometrium layer to grow, to continue to grow. And one major changes here is the stroma edema. So this is the layer. This is basically the functional layer. We'll get edema is meaning the swelling. So this region will get swelled. The entire tissue gets swelled, as well as the stromal cells will turn into the morphology is also changed. So this endometrial stroma cells will conduct a process called desiduralization. This will convert these cells to become different form in order to allow to facilitate an implantation. If there is a fertilization and implementation, then the secretory phase will continue. If there is no, then it will then because the corpus luteum degenerated, there is no progesterone support, then this place will be degenerated and the tissue die, endometrial shedding, and leading to the menses. So that's that. All right, so that ends it. I hope you have a good understanding about this menstrual cycle that include the hormonal changes, and also include the follicular changes. With these two changes, what we see is the uterus endometrium changes, and yep. So let me know if you have any questions. Thank you guys. See you next time.